Not every hobby needs to be expensive. Well, except for cars and stuff like that. But pre-built gaming PCs? Yeah, it does not have to be expensive. And I think $1,000 is the perfect price point to say that it's not expensive, especially if you have an RTX 4060 GPU inside. So with that said, let's take a look at the best pre-built gaming PC under $1,000. This is the MSI Codex R gaming PC, and it's been making waves for its low price and high value. Its rise to popularity started when it was sold for $799 back in Black Friday and Cyber Monday at major online retailers and even at Walmart. But with it, back at its $1,000 price point, is it still worth getting in 2024? We're here to unpack everything about this machine, from its specs to its performance. Let's not waste any time and get right into it. The best benchmark for a gaming PC is, of course, the games. So let's do that first, because I know this part is also your favorite part. Now we're going to do something a bit different and see what this PC can do when it's pushed to its limits. They say that the 4060 is primarily a 1080p level GPU, but let's see what it can do at 1440p. Starting off with Forza Horizon 5 running ultra settings with frame generation and DLSS set to quality mode, we'll get a solid 115 FPS average, which is not bad for a 4060. Cyberpunk 2077 running at ultra settings with ray tracing off, frame generation on, and DLSS set to quality mode spits out a decent 75 to 80 FPS average. I think you can still do a bit better if you run at 1080p, or maybe crank the DLSS to performance mode. Lastly, we have RDR2, which is running at high to ultra settings with DLSS set to quality mode, spits out 75 to 80 FPS. Again, you can lower the resolution and experiment with settings if that's not enough for you. But if I have the 60Hz, 1440p or 1080p monitor, which is what a ton of you will probably use, I say it's more than good enough. With the gaming tests out of the way, what's the deal with the MSI Codex R? Well, it packs an Intel Core i5-13400F, a good mid-end processor in my opinion, and an RTX 4060, which I can't state enough, is pretty good for under $1,000. It also has 16 GB of DDR5 RAM that's running at a whopping 5200 MHz, although you have to set that speed manually in the BIOS, and it has a 1 TB SSD for storage. And since this is a gaming PC, adding more storage can be done in just 20 minutes. Oh, let's not forget, it's powered by an 80+ gold PSU that's capable of 650 watts, which means this can support higher GPUs if you ever decide to upgrade later on. On paper, this setup is a sweet spot for gamers looking to enjoy the latest titles without breaking the bank. Now when it comes to ports, well, let's just say you can plug in a ton of things here. You've got your usual suspects, 2 USB Type-A 3.2 ports in the front and 2 more in the back. And for your peripherals, you have 4 USB-A 2.0 ports. Then of course, you have a Type-C 3.2 port. Then we have an Ethernet port. And for the display outputs on the RTX 4060, there's 1 HDMI and 3 display ports. There's also a ton of audio ports, including your usual headphone and mic jacks, but there's also options for digital and analog surround sound. And what I think is pretty nifty is that this have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's pretty much everything you need for a solid gaming setup. In the box, you'll have your MSI Codex nicely packaged with nice cushioning inside and out, so nothing gets broken from shipping. And it might surprise people, but this even includes a gaming keyboard and a gaming mouse, though as expected, they lean towards the budget side of things. The build quality of the Codex R itself is impressive. MSI has a reputation for sturdy, well-designed cases, and this one's no exception. It's got that gaming aesthetic without being too over the top, and the RGB lighting gives it that extra flair without being too distracting. I hope that makes sense because personally I like to play games in my room, not dance to 70s or 80s disco music. Now, a powerful PC is great, but if it sounds like a jet engine or heats up your entire room, that's a problem. Thankfully, the Codex R manages its thermals efficiently, even under load. The noise levels remained unobtrusive, with a low-pitched hum instead of a high-pitched whine, and temperatures were kept in check too, thanks to the decent airflow and cooling system. It's clear MSI didn't cut essential corners here. So the big question, is the MSI Codex R worth your money? Considering the specs, the build quality, and the performance, it's a resounding yes from us. It's a perfect example of how competitive the pre-built PC market has become, offering incredible value for money. Whether you're a seasoned gamer or someone looking to get into PC gaming without the hassle of building your own rig, the Codex R is a compelling choice, especially if you happen to stumble across this PC for $300 on this year's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or Christmas sales. Although let's calm down a bit, it's still February at the time of this video. But yeah, the MSI Codex R has left us thoroughly impressed. If you're impressed with it as well, you can check it out by scanning these QR codes or using the links down below. The first one is the spec that we talk about in this video, but the second one already has a 2TB SSD for an extra $100.